By the way, I'm not going to Phoenix until next Sunday.
Okay. Yeah.
And then I'm only going to be there a week, but I'll be there. I'll be there on Wednesday, on that Wednesday, and I'll have my laptop. I can still, do the show.
Nice.
From my hotel. I
That
only
doesn't sound
have,
bad.
I only have a specific appointment thing that I need to do on Thursday. And then I'm thinking I'll come back Saturday morning. So Peach was going to have a doctor's appointment she wanted me to take her to, but she ended up rescheduling. So I don't have to be there for a full week and a half.
I don't know if that's good or bad. That's up to you.
It'll be cheaper because I got to get a hotel for the whole time. So.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Unfortunately, I can't. There's no place for me to. I'd stay at her place, but we don't want to live in sin or anything
Yes, sure.
for a week. No, it just wouldn't work. But
I think it's the glare from the sun or something reflecting off the posters behind you. But there's like this really smoky effect of these circles right in the middle of your camera off to the side of you.
which side? This side?
The other side. Yeah, it's like just right.
Actually, I see it here too.
Yeah, I see a little bit of it there now that you're pointing it out. Yeah.
And then these over here. It's lens flares.
Yeah. J.J. Abrams has taken over your camera production.
That's right. Well, the sun's right there. So. I wonder if... Hold on. I don't know if that'll help. Just wipe off.
Some of it. I think the problem is eventually that it clears it temporarily, but long run it makes it worse because you're just putting more finger oils on it.
Yeah, but there's a lot of dust on the camera, so. Yep. Oh, I found out today.
Up way off to the side. There we go.
I found out today that my whole setup has the wrong feng shui.
Oh, so, yeah? Somebody told you this?
Apparently, I should be facing northeast, and instead I'm facing just about due south.
Yeah.
So I should be facing that way, but I'm not going to change it.
Well, if you face that way, then you're really going to have a sun problem. But you might look like, heavenly with like the sun glowing behind you into the camera.
Yeah, exactly. At least for the first half hour, I would definitely have a big problem. But, then you see like my door, which is boring. So
yeah, and I mean, if that is where the northeast is, you're gonna have to move a lot of things. Like you're gonna have to take that bookshelf behind you. You're gonna have to move that to the southwest of the room. Like there's all kinds of things you have to do if you want to do proper feng shui of the room.
Yeah.
And
that bookshelf is screwed to the wall, so it's not moving.
It's not moving till I am.
That's right. Yeah, that's the thing with a bookshelf on carpet is that you really screw to the wall, or else it'll fall forward. But anyway, no, I'm just gonna have to suck it up.
Yeah. Well,
I've got my
what is that?
I've got my unbreaded lost.
Oh, nice.
That I got at Anime Matsuri. It's got the I don't know why the dragon. I guess maybe because of Dragon's Treasure or something. I don't know.
I just know the unbreaded section of the show is such a gem because that document's so long he'll never run out of excerpts he can just read for it. It's like a manifesto or something.
Yeah, exactly. Yep, he was selling these at Anime Matsuri, so I got one.
But yeah, welcome to the Vomitorium, everyone. As always, I'm your host, The Metal, and joining me is my co-host, Marsupial Gamer. Things are looking kind of normal today. Because some of the changes I have planned, I'm still working on, talking to a few people. I'm actually going to try to get us some bumpers for the pre and post part of the show. I have a few like voice actors and stuff that I'm going to have try to do like a little tagline telling people that they're watching the Vomitorium and where they can donate in between songs. Cool. And I've even got some musicians who are thankfully donating some of their songs too for those portions. So some of the show is really going to be cleaned up on the different sections of it, heading into the live formatting.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm working on something that will hopefully make my voice less hoarse in the next few weeks, maybe.
Oh, that would be great. Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see if my plan works.
You just have to start lining the inside of your throat with chalk. I think that's all that has to happen, like a gymnast.
Yeah, I'm sure that'll help.
Yeah.
Among other things, actually, I'm quitting smoking. So I, regressed when I went to the con because there's a lot of drinking and social smoking is a thing. But.
Oh yeah, I think probably as I was saying last time, I remember going to like the smoking section of restaurants with my dad. I think one of the things that probably helped so many people quit smoking after the whole like you can't smoke in public property and stuff anymore was that like they were no longer around everybody smoking all the time. You had to go to like street corners 15 feet away from the building, specific places, and a lot of people easily cave into social smoking if they already have the habit just because they can smell the smoke around.
I remember 20 years ago, my wife and I used to go to restaurants and smoke in the restaurant.
Yeah.
Between courses.
That was
in retrospect was kind of disgusting, but
yeah, if you think about it.
Kind of like, but you're like in a raised area, right?
Yeah,
so
there's
like,
the smoking section.
This far up. Yeah, you're this far up, so of course the rest of the restaurant surely can't smell it from over here. It's kind of ridiculous.
Hey, I mean, at least like a nice restaurant would have a raised section. I remember being in IHOP and it was literally just that side of the restaurant. It was like split in half and it was everything the same level. Obviously some of the smoke was going to be drifting over anyway. It's not like they had windows open or whatever. Maybe it should draft towards the kitchen, all things considered, just because they have vents pulling the smoke from the stove up, but it's going to get everywhere. And I don't think I ever noticed because it gave me the feeling of being in a diner because people would just smoke in diners all the time. So,
yeah, I mean, I guess there's some bars that you can still smoke in, but that's about it.
I think, technically you can smoke in venues that declare themselves a smoking venue. But there's certain like restrictions you have to go through and stuff, and it depends. Some counties just won't let it whatsoever.
Yeah, of course it depends on the state. Like nowhere in California or New York, but in Texas or Alabama, sure. Yeah.
Well, yeah, especially because we even have like hookah bars and stuff, and I think it would be kind of ridiculous for a hookah bar to draw the line at smoking nicotine cigarettes with all the other smoke in the air.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. So it is wild how much things have changed in just like 2 decades.
Yeah. So I was watching Yellow Flash play the Spider-Man remastered, I guess, on PC last night.
I only just heard of that. What is that? Is that like the old PlayStation Spider-Man with Sam Raimi character? Or?
It looks like Tom Holland, frankly.
Well, I mean, they remastered it. I wouldn't be surprised if they changed it, but I just remember like during the PlayStation era, it came out at the same time that like the Sam Raimi Spider-Man did, and they were all based off of. Oh
no, this is new. This is newer than that.
Oh, it said remaster, so I assumed it was an old game. So they've already remastered the newer Spider-Man from PlayStation 4. That's That's lame. This game's still
Yeah,
new.
no, no. Yeah. Well, it was a PS4 game. Now it's PS5. So I guess
Yeah.
remastered probably from HD to 4K maybe or something. But
I you know what? I can't even call that a remaster. That title is a lie. I was hoping
well,
like because
the point
everybody
is,
loves Spider-Man 2. Spider-Man 2 for the PlayStation is one of the best games out there.
yeah,
Very
yeah,
iconic moments, especially the Pizza Time mini game that everybody hates because the song speeds up on its own about halfway through to fuck you up because you think like you're
that's
running
great.
out of time.
Yeah, no, this is the newer one. The point is that it was a PlayStation exclusive, and it just came out on PC like this week.
Yeah, yeah. Kind of like when God of War did, and then
Yeah,
recently Final Fantasy VII remake did as well.
yeah. The weird thing is, so I got there's also a Miles Morales version, and I got that for free on my PlayStation, but I gotta see if I can get the original one too. I'm
Well, I
not
thought
sure.
so. Is it standalone? Because Miles Morales was supposed to be an expansion to the
Yeah, I
Spider-Man
guess
game, but I don't
oh,
know if it's like a standalone DLC like
it's
they used to do. Okay.
yeah, it's a standalone. It's definitely a standalone, but it's so I don't know. I don't know if it's the same story, but now you're playing as Miles Morales, or it couldn't be because like I was watching Yellow Flash play it, and like MJ is in it, and there's all this.
Oh no, the Miles
You
Morales
know,
stuff takes place after the main game.
yeah,
It's kind of like which one was it? You could kind of play them through the story, but if you go back to like Arkham City and like the Red Robin expansion happened, or like bonus stuff happened afterwards when it came out. So technically, the events that you when you play as Red Robin happen after Arkham City do. It's one of those type things. But
yeah. So
yeah,
I
it's
guess
completely isolated. I actually hate the word standalone DLC. Right? Sure, you could get it as an expansion to the main game and it
yeah,
loads up with it. But if you could play a game by itself, it's just a smaller game.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's what. Yeah, yeah. You're right. I was gonna say it's kind of like what they used to call like an expansion or an add-on,
But you still
but
need the base game
it's
for
not
that.
even that. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
true. Like even like you could get there was an expansion for like Ultima 7, but you still had to have the original games. Yeah. Um,
Yeah.
So I have Miles Morales, but I haven't played it yet. At any rate, I guess the original. I guess that one's not maybe available on Steam yet. I don't know.
Probably not.
I shouldn't have even brought it up because I don't know enough about it. I'm just like something something Spider Man. It's a thing.
I watched Buck play quite a lot of it because he was playing the game and enjoying it. But every time I watch it, it's like,
It looks cool.
yeah, there's a lot of stuff about that game that I wish were in previous Spider-Man games. But aside from like mechanics, which are a very important part of the game, of any game, in fact, mechanics might be the most important part of a game. You have to get those right, or else you don't really have a game. The game just still looked boring. Like,
Hmm.
it didn't look as engaging as playing a game like Arkham Asylum. And I'm only even going to compare Arkham Asylum and some of Arkham City because even that series became more boring over time.
Mhm. Yeah, the only cutscenes that I saw were like MJ is a reporter or something in this now for the
Yeah,
Daily
I
Bugle,
don't know why.
and then so she was like recording someone on a camera, and then like it was her and Peter talking in a diner, and it's like, yeah, this does look kind of boring actually.
Yeah.
And then action scene, you know, back to the game. So I don't know what the story is, but
Now, I think the cool part of the game, and I think the game would actually be cooler if they focused more on this, is that there are like non-episodic, so like things that aren't part of the same story, side missions that'll pop up, and I think they're partially random, where as you're going through the city, the spider sense will be tingling, and there's like somebody you can help, maybe some thugs are attacking someone, and it'll lead to a chase. That stuff is cool. If the game was littered with just like more of that stuff, and that was the main thing, is you just doing Spider-Man's everyday life, and then occasionally you have to fight a supervillain. I think that would be a way more entertaining game, but I don't know, the story progression overall was just kind of lame.
Okay, then.
Yeah.
Well, I've only heard good things about the gameplay.
Yeah, no, it's pretty good. It's an advanced version of the same stuff that we've been seeing from the studio, where like they even said they're not making Infamous anymore, but a lot of the mechanics just come straight from that. Which even then, a lot of the mechanics from that came from Sly Cooper. So it's just like, obviously they're using different engines and stuff, but like any crew, they just do what they're familiar with. So you can feel them executing the same thing over and over again from one game to the next if you're familiar with their work.
Well, similar to Dark Souls, I guess. Right?
Yeah. Because I think Dark Souls is made in a prefab engine now, but it's one of those games that go back to its beginning with like Demon Souls and stuff. They were making the engine for the game like most companies did forever. And now they're just doing the same thing in a pre-made engine by some other corporation that makes engines for people.
Yeah.
Oh, actually, you know what? Here. This actually reminded me of something before we get into any topics or anything. I wanted to hear your opinion. I got into an argument with a buddy of mine because we were playing Final Fantasy 14. And I was trying to make the argument that from a practical sense, Final Fantasy 14 was made in the same engine as 11 and 12. And he was trying to argue that it's not, because 14 was made in Crystal Tools and the others weren't. But then that has to go into a big history on what Crystal Tools actually is, because it's not even an engine per se, it's a tool set they created to try to keep everything unified. 14 used it. 13 was made using Crystal Tools. Dragon Quest 10 Online was made with it too. And when you go into the history of Crystal Tools, you find out that what it's basically made out of is the same framework of the different tools that they used to make 11 and then 12, which were back in the day where most people just used a bunch of different tools like Microsoft FXA and stuff like that to make an engine for the game when the game was made. But after they made 11, they used most of the same stuff from 11 to make 12, just with new assets. And then after 12, they used pretty much everything from that to create the Crystal Tools toolset. So from my perspective, they're basically, from a functional standpoint, made in the same engine.
So they just took a bunch of different tools and put them into one.
And created a tool set out of it. Yeah.
Yeah, probably like one IDE with just menus to say, okay, click here to go to this tool, click here to go to this tool, but they're all the same tools. Well, that's a stupid argument.
So,
anyway.
yeah, just because like the name isn't the same, it's practically, functionally the same stuff.
Well, okay. So you're both right and you're both wrong.
No, I agree with that too. I was
because I hate
about it.
Because I hate this argument. I hate this argument anyway.
Because technically, every engine is unique after you actually pump the game out.
Well, no. What I was going to say was every engine has different versions.
Well, there's iterations of it too. Yeah. Well, so I even. No, actually, I think you and I agree more on this because I was using an example. I said from a practical sense, because I was comparing it to Creative Engine with older versions of Elder Scrolls to newer. It's like they are technically the same engine, but they're different iterations because things have been changed and added over time. I was including what you were saying.
Yeah, if you make a game with Unreal Engine 3, it's very different from making a game with 4 and very different from Unreal Engine 5. Right? So, yeah, it's the same tool set, but I'm sure they
I would even say that despite the fact that 1.0 of 14, 13, and the modern version of 14 all use crystal tools, I still wouldn't even say those are identical, because the fact that they're called crystal tools doesn't mean that more things weren't added in since then. So, So I'm saying, if we're going to break it down to that level of games that are called crystal tool games, I would still include the two predecessors that ended up making the tool set.
Yeah, because it always drove me nuts when people were like, "Oh, they made Skyrim with the same engine that they made Morrowind with," and it's like, did they though? I mean,
it's technically true. Yeah, I used to get into this thing with Buck all the time. Yeah,
it's like, okay, it has the same name, but there's another different number. There's a different version, so it's. Yeah.
Well, I think it's also because people don't look at because even like an MMO is different over time when you add things. There's even like a version of a game that takes higher requirements from a computer than the original version of the game did. So what people don't end up looking at is the point after it, right? So like Creation Engine, we're only getting to 2, but that doesn't mean there wasn't like a 1.02, 1.05, 1.15, and
And there's some like, was Fallout? Was those all made with Creation Engine?
Well, ever since they were under Bethesda, so I think from like 3 and on.
Yeah. So now some things are valid, because like I heard that like, which was the one that was just horrible? Fallout 76.
Yeah.
Or the one that was like, and people were saying, well, there were bugs in Fallout 76. There were the exact same bugs in Fallout 4 that were like fixed by the modding community. Because
there's a good reason for that, right? It's not even just that they use the same engine, right? It's they use the same game, because 76 was literally just like they took things out and put new things in from a game that was already sitting there, kind of similar to how like Ocarina of Time was torn apart and then they added some new assets and you have Majora's Mask out of that. It's that type of game, because they were going to make a whole like combined single player multiplayer experience, and then they just went in and stripped the single player because it wasn't done to have the multiplayer game.
Yeah. So that was a bit like in that case it was literally the same engine and literally the same game, just like
it was basically a mod or like a fan mod for the own game, but made by the team.
Yeah. So that goes a bit beyond, but I mean, even if they don't like change the number of the engine,
there's still iterations.
Bits and pieces of it have been upgraded and swapped out and changed. Like sometimes, like when we were doing stuff with the Platino engine before it kind of went defunct, we had other like tools that we'd use along with it. And I can't think of anything in particular, but I'm sure there was an instance where it was like, oh, this tool we use to make sprites, there's this better tool that we could use to make sprites. And we just completely swapped it out. Oh, we're going to use this now. And that became part of the engine, sort of. Just.
Well, no, all of that was part of my argument on why I was including it as technically the same engine.
Yeah.
I was including iterations because I think if you acknowledge iterations, a legend's or a engine's legacy matters, like the lineage of it, And I was basically trying to argue that those two games were basically version 0.1 and 0.2 of Crystal Tools.
Yeah. I can see that. But it's interesting. And then like it depends on the studio, but like, with Nintendo, like when they make Zelda, like they'll build their whole new engine, like
every time
brand new engine from scratch. But then you can look at like Wind Waker and Twilight Princess were made with the same exact engine.
Yeah. So something Nintendo does, and we've talked about this before, is they will tend to make a new engine for a franchise every console.
Yeah.
Right. So Wind Waker and Twilight Princess were both GameCube games, even though a lot of people ended up playing it on the Wii instead. It was primarily made for the GameCube.
Ported.
It's even the proper version of the game because everything's flipped on the Wii for the controller.
Yeah.
So obviously, like, it makes sense. Oh, that's just the history. They make an engine for that game franchise for that console. These are both on the same, which is also why Skyward Sword and Twilight Princess are in different engines, because technically Twilight Princess was on the GameCube version and they made a new one for the Wii for Skyward Sword.
Right. So, but yeah, I was.
And then it's even easier. You're going to see more identity similarities, almost like Ocarina of Time to Majora's Mask with Breath of the Wild 2, because one, why remake an entire map from scratch, right? But it is literally a sequel, so why not just use everything that we already did on the same system?
Yeah, it's supposed to take place on the same world. Everything. Man, it's like it's been so long and we haven't heard anything new in so long.
Apparently, it's still coming out next spring. I don't know.
Is it? Is it though? Maybe. Like I'm kind of over it. Like I don't even
we'll see.
care.
When is the Tokyo Game Show? We might actually hear stuff about that. Let me look when the Tokyo Game Show is.
Well, I'm more excited about Hogwarts Legacy, and that was just recently moved back to February.
September 15th. Maybe we'll hear something about it September 15th, or between the 15th and 18th when the game show happens.
Yeah. Have you seen this Hogwarts Legacy game?
No, I don't.
It looks really cool. Actually.
I have not. I don't usually follow Harry Potter stuff. I haven't since I was a kid, but typically stuff like that, it's not like I try to blatantly ignore it, like, oh, it's Harry Potter, it can't be good. I just kind of wait until somebody else tells me about it. Like, oh, okay, I'll check it out. I'm not keeping my ear to it particularly.
Yeah, it looks really neat. It's hard. I don't know if I can describe it right now because I haven't watched the trailer in like a month or two. But yeah, I mean, it just casting spells and.
The Fischoso says, I heard Lara Croft might be gay in the new game. I don't know if I'd believe that, though, especially since they said they might be going back to old Lara. Now, if they said she was bi, given the personality and type of character Lara is, I honestly would not doubt that for a second. But I doubt returning to form, you could just make her outright a lesbian because she has flirted with way too many guys in a serious manner.
Besides, all women are bi, aren't they?
I wouldn't say all, but I would say far more women than men. I think, in general, women's sexuality tends to be a lot more flexible than men are, so a lot more fluid.
Yeah, here's the thing. So Hogwarts Legacy pushed back to February 10th, 2023.
Yeah.
And it's kind of it's getting its own state of play presentation. Oh no, it had one earlier.
Oh, did it? Okay.
We'll have to look at that sometime. But it does look really impressive. So yeah, I mean, I understand some people just don't care about Harry Potter, but it takes place like 100 years before Harry Potter. And it looks like kind of an open world wizard game.
Yeah, I mean, that sounds fun. I actually genuinely think the world of Harry Potter is pretty cool. I don't think the writing is all that there from like a skill level. I think Rowling is I'm gonna say a gifted storyteller in the sense of like crafting a story, but not a very technical writer and kind of like a generous way of saying this. Mark Twain said that some people write books like wine, and he writes books like water, so anyone can enjoy it. I feel like Rowling's writing style is like dirty tap water. Yeah. But aside from that, it's a very fun, colorful world. It can be enjoying to be in. I think the more important reason why I tended to get away from Harry Potter is just that the general audience started taking it too seriously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's kind of like Rick and Morty. Like, I can't stand the fandom.
Oh yeah, yeah. And it's like, please, if you want people to enjoy the world, just leave them alone and let them have fun with it. You know?
Yeah. Yeah. I was enjoying this movie or show or whatever until you people screwed it up.
Yeah. Especially because of how much influence them yelling has on the direction of the stuff too, right?
Yeah.
Like, I hadn't really liked Harry Potter for years. I think the last one I enjoyed was probably Order of the Phoenix. I don't think I liked the couple books after that. And even then, that was less enjoyable than, say, like the Goblet of Fire, right? There was like the started downhill. I still enjoyed it, but it was going downhill. And that's from the book perspective before they even had the movies. But I enjoyed the first Fantastic Beasts. I thought it was fun. I thought it returned to the whole fun-centric part of it. And then the second one kind of just was a mess and was all over the fucking place. Like Dumbledore being gay, so yeah, like that. I feel was the fans pressuring that to happen. There was no sign that he was gay before that. If there was, like, I wouldn't care because I just want characters to be characters and have good reasons for why they are, right? But yeah, I thought the first Fantastic Beast was better than almost any of the Harry Potter movies I watched. I actually gave that like a really good score, and I don't think I've given a good score to any Harry Potter movie. I thought they were all just slightly above average.
Well, the problem with the Fantastic Beasts trilogy is the name. Like, they like found themselves like, oh shit, we want to keep telling this story, but we gotta like crowbar in these animals somehow that don't really need to be part of the story. But
yeah, you only the first one needed
Beasts,
to be Fantastic Beasts and where to find them.
Yeah. They should have just
pulled an Alice, right? That's what she should have done. Like, if you go back to Lewis Carroll's Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, the sequel still had Alice's name in it, but it was Through the Looking Glass and What Alice Found There, right? So, like, they didn't actually have to have Fantastic Beasts in each one of them. They could have just had some fanciful title and had the same character have a through line.
Yeah. I mean, it became like, why is this creature like, and why is like Newt Scamander even in this movie? It's so dumb. Like, it didn't need to be. He didn't need to be. But anyway.
Yeah. You know what another movie actually really, I just felt like they dropped the ball on it. And they felt, I guess, pigeonholed of, oh, well, that was the name of the first movie. So for audiences to know what they're going to watch, we have to name the second one this too, was Now You See It, right? Which was a pretty fun little romp about illusionists that were pulling a heist. It was basically just Ocean's 11, but with magicians, right? And they made a sequel called Now You See It Too. And one, they didn't even put comma TOO, which would have been the redeeming way to put Now You See It Too. No, they should have put Now You Don't. And they didn't because they would have been, and they felt it would have confused audience. And I'm just so upset. It's like, why did you not name your sequel Now You Don't?
That would have been great.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Like, you're probably going to be working on it with me because I've talked to you about it kind of first before everyone. I'm just waiting on, I got a guy to help with production who actually professionalizes in handling like the production end of video games, like balancing, making sure people on their roles and stuff like that. Who's going to help me with that. Really cool guy. But I'm going to be working on a video game soon, right? We're probably going to make it in Game Maker too, that's what I'm assuming. But I'm kind of dabbling with the music because I have a very specific way I want the music to be. And I'm one of those guys that when I name something, I am a little cheeky about everything that I name. So like the first fight music, I kind of wanted to have that like feeling that like the Battle 1 and Battle 2 in Final Fantasy IV had, where it's like it starts off sounding like the same song, but like then the bass end is a little different, so you already know something's off before it turns into a different song. I want to do something like that, so I want to call it like If It's a Fight You Want, and then the second one I want to call Then It's a Fight You'll Get, because they'll like kind of flow that way. And like I don't know why people feel like they can't just do stuff like that. Like it's almost like they think their audience is dumber than they actually are.
Yeah. Why not?
Yeah.
Go for it.
It's
Well,
gonna be fun. The music's gonna be fun for sure. I'm gonna have my brother help work on the songs with me. Kind of a little romp at it.
oh, I remember what I was going to say about this, kind of getting into the weeds, but I don't remember if it was the first one or the second one, but one of those Fantastic Beasts movies, like at one point, like Newt Scamander and his girlfriend, maybe the first one, they're like going to kill them. They get captured and they're like above this pool of goo. It's like going to exit.